Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the November 8th, 2023 Historic Preservation Commission. This is a regular meeting of the Montclair Historic Preservation Commission. Notice has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting a copy of the notice on the first floor of the municipal building and by sending a copy to the Montclair Times, the Star Ledger, and the Herald News. We are being broadcast live on Channel 34 Montclair and also streamed on YouTube Live. Ms. Talley, are you going to call the roll, please?
Chair Bennett.
Present.
Vice Chair Heineman.
Here.
Mr. Rooney.
Here.
Mr. Reinitz.
Here. Didn't hear you.
Sorry. Mr. Graham.
Here.
Mr. Sweeney.
Yeah.
And Mr. Giuliano.
Here.
Okay.
Thank you. We also have in attendance our attorney, Janine Bauer, and acting secretary, Janice Talley, and we have Ms. Hussein Farah also. Thank you. Tom Conley, our historic preservation consultant, is not here tonight. First on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Has everyone had a chance to read any amendments or corrections?
Yes, I have a non-substantive amendment just on the top of page 3. The explanation given by Mr. Zamuda for the addition of the porch was both to provide time for the family and as a necessary addition to stop rainwater from getting into the house. The paragraph seems to say it about a couple times. I was just trying to shorten the sentence.
So which line? Which line number are you?
Yeah, it'd be line 3.
Okay.
I would strike after the word addition, the words as it stood, add the word to, T-O. And then I would, after the word house on the next line, I would strike the rest of the sentence. And it's not substantively inaccurate, it just seems to be redundant in the way it's explained.
Got it. Okay.
And Mr. Graham?
I had a few changes as well. For the resolution, I had abstained. It says that it was approved unanimously, the 52 Upper Montclair Plaza resolution. I was not able to attend that meeting, so I had to abstain. And then on page, I had a couple others. Let me just see. On page 4, there it is. Proposed amendment to total demolition permit ordinance. In line 29, non-substantive change, but it says, starting from line 28, the commission discussed the language for the partial demolition and decided to review it under the zoning subcommittee, which will, it should be comprised of Gerald Sweeney and Michael Graham, and I believe it should also include Chair Bennett as well, right? And I had one more.
And the spelling of Michael is not right, I think.
Did I miss that? Oh, yeah, I missed that. My name was misspelled. Come on, Janice. All right. And then I did want to make one suggestion as well for other items. I thought Mr. Reimnitz's statement was quite important about the Lackawanna Plaza redevelopment, and I thought expressing our concern about our role being diminished at the public meeting of the council, and I think there should be some note in there to that effect.
Can you repeat the statement, because my memory does not serve me as to exactly what was said?
It was many paragraphs. I can send it to you.
Okay.
If I can bring it up on my computer right now. Basically said, I didn't appreciate how the town council portrays the Historic Preservation Commission or the Planning Board in terms of the members, and basically said something to the effect, these people are just, they're not experts, they're just people that are volunteering. And I said, well, there's a lot of people on this commission who spend a lot of time studying historic preservation, and indeed have much more expertise than people on the town council. So that was the gist of it. I can give you the actual verbiage if you
Well, I'd like
want.
to try and summarize.
Yes,
this.
I think you should send it.
So here's
Okay.
what,
Yes.
you want the
But
full?
that's the
No,
basic gist.
summarize, I think
So maybe
summarize
the
it.
summary should be, I could say Mr. Reimnitz, or better, the commission. The commission noted their concern about the portrayal of the Historic Preservation Commission and the Planning Board regarding their role in the Lackawanna Plaza redevelopment plan. Does that summarize it?
Oh, I think it's a little bit more.
It's more than that. Their role and their,
How about the diminishing,
the value of their input.
Okay, the value of the input.
diminishing the value of the input?
Yeah.
Their concern, okay, the commission noted their concern, now I can't even read my handwriting. The commission noted their concern regarding the portrayal of the members of the Historic Preservation Commission and Planning Board regarding their value in terms of the review.
Input
Input.
into the process. How's that?
Okay,
I think it's important to say diminishing the value of the input provided by the HPC and the planning board.
so you're concerned
Our
about,
concern was that the council diminished the
Right.
value,
Of our input.
all right, the
yeah.
commission noted their concern about the diminished value.
about the
Place-
council
Council's-
the council diminishing the value of the HPC and planning board's input.
Thank you.
I modify that.
Absolutely,
I
Jay.
didn't think it was the whole council said that. I thought it was-
I said various members
Yeah,
on the
okay.
council, not the whole council. But no
I
one
agree.
stood,
I agree.
no one stood up on the council and jumped to our defense either, so.
All right,
It sets a bad precedent.
certain council members, how about that? Diminishing the value of the members of the HPC and the planning board regarding their role in the evaluation of the Lackawanna Plaza redevelopment
Sounds good,
plan.
that sounds good.
Is that a
You might
good
want to
sum-
say and date which Lackawanna plan it is too.
what did you, I missed what you just said?
Just date which plan it was, because we did write, we rewrote, or maybe we should put the date of the resolution that was created. That was, you know what?
I think that just confuses everything. Let's just say the latest.
Right.
All right, well, the latest, the
Yeah.
most current, how's that? Most current.
Okay. Sometimes it's better to be simple
Yeah,
and straightforward.
So with those amendments, Mr. Hyman was absent and Mr. Giuliano was absent with good reason.
Congratulations.
Congratulations again. So with that, can I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Motion to approve as amended?
And second?
Second it.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Right, and Mr. Giuliano abstains. All right, with that, as we move to public comment, is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the commission on anything concerning historic preservation that's not related to an application that we're hearing tonight? Because you'll have a chance to speak then. No? All right, with that, public comment is closed. We have no old business. So we'll move on to new business. So the first item on the agenda for new business is application 2023-15, 30 North Mountain Avenue, which has been postponed to the December 14th meeting.
Yeah, so that's not being heard tonight.
Okay. So I have a question about this. This has been postponed now for 6 months?
I wouldn't know, but I asked him to come. He was not available this evening, so we asked again that it be postponed to the December meeting. He's not doing any work,
Right.
so
So
the
then,
longer he
maybe,
postpones it, the longer he delays the work that he wants to do.
but he's done work that needs to be addressed. So,
That's why we're having, yes, I understand that the stairs were installed,
right.
but the other work, I can't even comment on this application. I believe some of it has been done, some of it has
Well,
not
it's
been
not,
done.
it's not even about the application. How long do we extend an application?
We're-
For
We don't
work
really-
that's been done that needs to be assessed by the commission? Is there a time limit? I'm just
There
curious.
is no time limit.
Has a violation been issued?
We
So there's
made
nothing-
them aware of the
okay.
violation. He submitted the application.
Mm-hmm.
So this is in response to the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help it if he's not, we schedule him for meetings.
Yeah.
He submits the information, he's just not available, or they're not available.
Okay,
So,
well, we'll look forward to seeing them at the December 14th meeting. That will be some meeting. Okay, so moving on to application 2023-33, which is 43 Church Street.
Kath, Are there reports? Were there any reports that you wanted to?
Oh, I'm
read
sorry.
through?
I moved right over committee reports. You're absolutely right. Sorry. So the committee reports, before we go into the application, education and outreach, there were 2 very successful researcher home at the Montclair Public Library. One went on October 14th and one on the 18th. I was there and Steve Rooney was there. Very successful, sold out. Hopefully, these people, more people be involved in historic preservation as a result of this. We do have a walking tour and dedication of a plaque at Mount Carmel Church. That has been rescheduled for December. I don't know the exact date yet. I'm waiting on that. I'll let everyone know. Minor applications. November 2nd, we met. Application 2023-34 at 211 Glenridge Avenue was approved. Application 2023-35 at 597 Valley Road, that is being resubmitted.
which one?
Revised, yeah,
Wait, which one is that?
the exact start
Actually, we went through that. The resolution is good. They're submitting revised plans to address exactly what was put in the resolution. So,
Oh, okay.
okay, we've had, following that meeting, we've had several conversations with them. They have to revise their plans regarding the one sign, but there really are no changes to the resolution,
Okay.
okay?
So the resolution then that was sent to me, I had some questions about that.
But everything that's in the resolution is being addressed with revised plans. So,
Okay.
okay, there's no need to revise the resolution because they're addressing everything and we will be submitting plans to meet all of those concerns.
Okay. So no revised resolution
Right.
for 597.
Right.
But, so is it approved then?
The resolution should be approved, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Except-
Would you send that to me again, please? Thank you.
Do we have to review that, the revised plans?
This is the this is a sign. There's no need
This
to.
is minor applications,
application.
but
There's
there
no
was
need to review
confusion
it.
about the sign.
There's what?
Confusion
Yeah,
about
so
the
that's
sign.
exactly, so they're changing the way it's designed to reflect exactly what you wanted. So it's going to be mounted to a backer board. I mean, we don't really need to talk about it tonight in front of everybody. We have a lot of other things on the agenda. But everything that was identified in there, they're revising the plans to address it.
Okay, so, but could you send it to
I'll send it to you.
the Minor
Yeah.
Applications Committee again? Thank you. Application 2023-36 at 44 Fairfield Street, that has been approved. Revisions Committee, South Fullerton, 11 South Fullerton. What's going on with that?
We issued a warning letter. I heard from the owner of the building. I heard from the architect. The architect submitted as-built plans. We sent them back because the as-built plans do not address anything that were raised. So that's where we are today. With the warning letter, we gave them 30 days to respond.
So when should that be resolved then? Do you have 30 days? I'm just curious.
Within 30 days.
When was the letter sent?
I don't know when the letter was sent, probably within the last 2 weeks.
Okay, so by the next meeting, we should have some
Yes.
idea, okay. And then we go to anybody, do you have questions about that? We move on to the Bellevue Theater with that. That work is being done, the exterior is being addressed. We've looked at it, the revisions committee was there looking at it. They've started the work. Is there an additional,
We've informed them that they need to come in with another certificate of appropriateness application for the work that was not approved as part of their previous application.
That's right. All we looked at was the ground floor.
Right, and they're
then they
doing-
started doing
They're
everything
making
else.
some other changes, and I think it's probably good.
Yes,
It's
yes.
fine, but we
But-
need to handle it administratively, in a proper
Right.
administrative procedure. So we told them, come in, a new certificate of appropriateness for that additional work. That way we have it documented.
exactly,
So-
yeah. So they
Thank
haven't
you.
submitted anything yet? We could do that in a subcommittee, rather than wait for,
If you want to do it from a minor application, we could do it as
Yes.
part of a minor application, that would be fine, you know.
Yeah.
We're trying to work with them. But
Right.
we need to
No.
have a means to document all of these changes.
no,
and
no,
not
that's
do
what
it
we're,
piecemeal.
yeah, that's what we.
Yeah. So,
Are there any other revisions that we're looking at?
we did have our tour of, that was not a certificate of appropriateness, but you did have the tour of the building on Brookfield Place, right? The house on Brookfield. John was there. Michael was there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the revisions
We
committee.
went upstairs inside, we saw what they were doing.
We approve the exterior of the,
We approved the exterior shingle.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
Oh, that place.
all right.
Yeah, maybe Kathleen wasn't there. It might have been the other.
That's
Was that the revisions committee?
oh, Steve, you were there, that's right,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we got a
They're
very
doing a
nice,
good
we got a
job there.
very nice tour of the
Yeah,
house.
they're
Oh,
they're
good.
doing a very good job.
Nothing on design review. And the Landmarks Nomination Committee, Label Street nomination is moved to December. We'll be hearing that next month?
It's on the agenda, yeah.
Okay. So, and everything's okay with that?
I believe the notice is still good, right, Janine, for the public hearing on the nomination for. Yeah. We know, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other committee action? No? Okay. So we'll move on to public comment. Nobody's comment. Old business, there is none. 30 North Mountain Avenue has been postponed to December 14th. Now we get to application 2023-33, 43 Church Street. Milk and cookies. And you're all set up. Do you have extra things for us to see?
Yes, if I can have Michael just maybe hand out copies. We have updated plans and images, which is some minor tweaks.
Thanks.
Michael's handing that out.
Oh, before you start, I'll introduce the application, and then we'll have
Thank
you
you.
sworn in, okay? So this is, the subject property is located in the Town Center Historic District along the Church Street streetscape. The building was built in 1925 and is known as the Claridge Apartments. It is a 6-story Renaissance Revival building. It sits on the northeast corner of Park and South Park, on Church, I'm sorry, and South Park Street. And the building consists of terracotta block commercial ground level with residential apartments on the upper floors and topped with a flat roof behind a false mansard clad in terracotta tiles. So obviously the terracotta is important on this building. In the survey from 1982, oh, thank you. This building was described as unique in Montclair with a distinctive Mediterranean flavor to this large apartment block. And it also points out the importance of the terracotta on the building. As I said, it's located in the Town Center Historic District and the Historic District expansions, which date from 2002, 2003, and 2004. The Town Center Historic District is the largest commercial district in Montclair. Historic properties in this district date from the 1840s to the 1960s, and there are 176 structures within the district. They are commercial properties that are 1 to 3 stories high. They feature a variety of architectural styles, notably Queen Anne, Classical Revival, and this one is a Renaissance Revival style. The applicant proposes to remove the eastern recessed entrance and replace it with a new storefront window and bulkhead to match the existing one. The existing new glass and will display the company's logo, and the existing awnings will remain. Now, I don't know if you've just given us different plans than what we,
Those are updated ones. Those are updated ones, Madam Chairman.
okay, all right. So would you please, our attorney will swear you in?
Yeah, just before we get to that, I'm marking as A1 the existing and proposed front and side elevations, the photos, and the new plan set, last revised 11/8/23, consisting of sheets A1, A2, and A3 as A2, for the record. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide tonight on this application to the commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do,
Go ahead.
certainly. My name is Robert Zample, and
Sir, can you turn your microphone on, please? Thank you.
Just press the
There we go, there we go. My name is Robert Zampolin. I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. Spelling your last name is Z-I-M, P as in Peter, O-L-I-N. Office address is 187 Fairview Avenue, Westwood, New Jersey. Been a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey since November of 1985. We're in practice approximately 38 years, and our license is in good standing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam.
Could you walk us what the new plans entail?
Certainly. So on the,
Sir, you can also use the handheld microphone if you need to stand. Yeah.
so if I can get a little closer to the,
I don't need to turn it on, yeah.
there we go. So on the screen, we have our A1 sheet, which represents the, I'll use my clicker, wait a second. I'm more old school and pointing to images, so just bear with me for a minute. So, it's a little flaked out. I'll just bring this, this, on our A1 sheet, we have our proposed floor plan, and as the application, a better clicker? There you go. Okay, gotcha. So we have the two existing retail stores that approximately 450 square feet on both sides, and they're both vacant. And obviously, my client, George Spiros from Milk and Cookies, he's the founder and the creator, is renting both spaces, and we're opening up a section of the wall that was just sheetrock, and we're opening up to combine the two spaces. The two spaces are each about 450 square feet, and the combined space will be about 900 square feet. So they're essentially identical in frontage, but unfortunately, the space that's to the right, which is where we're looking to eliminate the recessed entrance, has a 10-foot by 5-foot encroachment into the space, and that's one of the reasons why we're asking to eliminate that recessed entrance. So in working with our client, that was the rationale for creating the public side with the goods and the display, and the milkshakes with the cereal infusion is in the larger space. And then obviously in the space that has the encroachment is where the whole back of house operation would occur in terms of production, cleanup, and so forth and so on of the stuffed cookies. And the client is here, so should there be any questions in terms of how the actual space operates in terms of the flow of materials and goods and the baking process and clearances, George can certainly speak to that. But, you know, what we have here is the elevation, the existing condition elevation. Well, actually, this is the proposed elevation, which shows the adjacent tenant with its entrance door on the far right-hand side. We have our entrance door on the far left-hand side, and what we're proposing is obviously a new glass storefront running the full length, which would be 13 feet across by approximately 7 foot 4 inches high. It's a complete window system. And then behind that would then be the about a 3-foot display window. We have an access hallway to get to the display window, which would have signage as well as the milk and cookies product line. And then we have our refrigeration box, we have our prep area, we have our wash and dry area, and then obviously just the whole production area, which will have, you know, work tables for them to get the product ready before they bring it out for display into the stores themselves. And so what we did was that, you know, with the benefit of obviously all the Photoshops, we created the photo exhibits where Michael just showed obviously our existing front elevation as the building currently sits, and Mr. Connolly, you know, correctly, calls the building obviously a beautiful Renaissance building, certainly Italianate in terms of its 3-part symmetry with the 3 projecting bays. It's a 5-part bay concept, but it's also reinforced nicely when you really look at it, because it has those wonderful red awnings along the streetscape, which again reinforces 3, which are arch tops, and then the waterfall effect, which are on the 2 long sections. And then you can see this is the existing storefront as it currently is. We have our entranceway here, the entrance that we're currently looking to remove and create the larger 13-foot storefront, and then the 908 resale shop fellow that's on the right-hand side here. Then you have the Java guy over here, and then the other retail store on the far left. If you can go to the proposed, Michael. So the only change to the front facade of the building would be just obviously the creation of a larger single storefront. And I'd like to just submit to the board that it still doesn't affect the beautiful aesthetic and character of the building. Obviously, all the terracotta work and the symmetry is not affected. I'd like to say that it's still very symmetrical within the waterfall awning. We have an entrance on the far left. We have the other fellow's entrance on the far right. We have our large frame window, which will have the Milk and Cookies logo in there. And then in one of the review reports, I know the signage will conform with the township requirements. I believe it's 20% of the storefront area, so obviously that'll be submitted and approved. The cement parging that currently exists on both storefronts will be carried across in terms of the new storefront that's going to be created. And then we also took pictures of the South Park side, which, you know, again, still beautiful building. Obviously, the same waterfall effect for the awnings. This obviously side, for some reason, the building wasn't designed with recessed entrances, so it changes character, I guess, a little bit from Church Street to South Park, but it's just an example where the storefronts are all flush. And you could also make, I know it's a historical building, and ADA and historical building doesn't really pertain, but when you do renovations, you know, you could say that the flush storefronts actually work better for ADA in terms of handicap accessibility, in terms of the pull side of the door. You know, usually when you have a recessed entrance, you need 18 inches on the pull side for somebody that's potentially in a wheelchair actually gain entrance into the storefront, but that's just a brief aside. But I'd like to say that it's my personal opinion as an architect, we're certainly not affecting any of the beautiful characteristics of the building. And that's our presentation. And also, I'm sorry, we also have Michael Feiner, who represents the building. They're in support of the application. They're here to testify if there's any questions relating to the building.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have questions from the commissioners to the architect. And if there is any, are there any questions for to the owner or the representative? We can swear him in, okay? So, John, would you like to start?
Sure. I have three questions. Sure. Three questions. Is the center window all single pane piece of glass? Single glass, or is there?
The existing window, sir?
No, the one you're proposing, you said that's a piece of glass.
That's a single, we had it divided as two separate storefront windows, and then the request was to make it into one large glass pane.
Okay. There are existing penetrations above the red awning that show AC units. I would imagine two of them on the left go to, on my left, is your new store, right?
The other two.
No. Well, those are already gone. I'm just saying, they're still showing one AC unit above your space.
There. Yes, this, oh, that one, correct.
Those two.
Yes.
One looks like it's not being used, and the other one has a through-the-wall AC unit.
Correct.
Is that scheduled to remain in this plan?
I believe these are scheduled to remain. I'll defer to,
Just put a new unit in.
What's that?
Just gonna be putting a new unit in for the AC, for the air conditioning.
So you're going to keep the through-wall condition there, okay. Then I have one more, which might be more directed towards the owner of the building, which is the bulkhead below the windows. You're tying that all together. Is that all going to be redone at the same time, or is there going to be a bad joint between two
no,
and then the last one?
I went to the site to look at it more carefully today, because it's been a while, and, you know, really, it really should get all reparched all the way across. And I guess that would be a building owner, because there's two tenants, so in terms of sharing the cost, I'm assuming the building owner will probably just reparch the whole sill condition below the window
Yeah,
sills.
to make everything.
You know, just so that it doesn't have, because when you look at it right now, it is a little
Okay,
disjointed in
it's
a
just-
couple areas.
It's a detail, whatever. Those are my three
Devil's in the
questions.
details.
Thank you.
I agree.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, good evening. I've
Good
got a
evening,
couple
sir.
of questions. Did you say the encroachment is 10 feet by 10 feet, or is that a misunderstanding?
Right, that area, can you go back to the forefront line?
That's where the door is, right?
It's like a back, it's this back section over in the right-hand space. It doesn't go into anything. It's just a door that's been sealed off, and it jogs into our space. So this is actually not part of our rentable area. It's part of the building.
Okay, so that, I wanted to make sure we're talking about same area. We're not talking about, you're not talking about where the current door is.
Oh, no, sir.
How much space is
current-
occupied by the current door?
The current door is, at the widest, it's about 4.5 feet. It narrows down to about 3'6", and it's about 3'6" deep in terms of its recess.
Right, so 3 by 4, 12?
12 square feet,
About
sir.
12 square feet?
Correct, sir.
So elimination of the door saves you 12 square feet?
Correct, and it allows us to get the whole production area as an open area here, rather than offsetting everything, the 3 feet plus another 3 feet to get access from the door, because then you'd lose another 6 feet of the production area.
Okay. So, second, I know you're moving to a larger space, but eliminating the door pretty much fixes that larger space as the future.
Correct.
Is that something that could be readily reversed in the future if they decided to downsize?
Sure, if there's, for some reason, Milk and Cookies doesn't do well, even though he's already has 6 locations in 3 states, so he's doing very well, and I sampled his product. It's really, really good. So I'm just, can't wait for his store to open in Westwood, because he is going to do great. So, but for some reason, if for some reason he doesn't do well, which I find that hard to believe, you know, I guess certainly it could be reversed, and a recess could be reintroduced for 2 separate tenants.
Okay. Third is have you considered actually, instead of having the full-size picture window in the new area, having a divider in it so it looks more symmetrical to the other sides of the entrance to the building?
I prefer the divider, you know, but I know we drew with a divider, and I think a comment came maybe to take out the divider, but we're happy to put a divider in and split the window, absolutely.
Because I'm just looking at the symmetry of it. It seems
Can you
like
go back to the elevation?
with the divider, it's more symmetrical with the other side of the main entrance to the apartment building. So,
I think that's an excellent idea, thank you. You know, it'd be more in proportion with some of the storefronts in the older section of the building.
okay, those are my questions.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mike?
John, did you want to comment on the window? No, you're okay?
Those are
Okay.
the comments.
I have a couple questions. The building's from 1925. How long has has this setup of how long have the doors been set up this way?
I don't know, that might be a Michael question.
Since it was built? Okay. Are all the doors on that elevation, are they all the same depth?
No,
Do we need to swear in the witness? Do we need to swear in? Yeah,
I'm sorry, Michael, you gotta go
Yeah.
up and get sworn in.
welcome.
Thank you.
Your name for the record?
Michael Feiner.
Could you use the microphone, sir? Thank you.
Michael Feiner.
You swear or affirm that the testimony you provide tonight on this application will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And what is your relationship?
So I am the Assistant Vice President of Affiliated Management and the Property Manager for this building.
Oh, you're the property manager?
Yes.
Okay.
So Culture Couture is on the corner. Yep, right there. Their storefront is actually flush with the exterior of the building. The rest of the spaces are recessed, but that one on that corner is flush.
Are the recessed doorways the same depth?
Yes, I believe approximately, yes.
Okay. Mr. Conley's report had suggested perhaps the other entryway might be more appropriate for enclosure. Would that be a possibility, or does that not work with the business plan?
Yeah, because unfortunately, if both spaces were both truly symmetrical,
Yeah.
except for that 10-foot jog,
Yeah.
because, you know, the public side has obviously all the display of all those great cookies, but then there's a production area for those milkshakes with the cereal and all that kind of good stuff going further to the back. So that's why we had to put the public side on the slightly larger side, and then we tried to really squeeze everything in on the compromise side, for lack of a better word.
Is there any way to call out the original recess? Instead of making it flush, would it be encroaching? Would there be any way to call out the original recessed area?
Yeah, but it might break up the storefront windows, so if we break up the storefront window from 13 feet to 6.5-foot panels that kind of match, you know, the smaller geometries of the older storefronts, then you'll end up with, I'm not sure, it just, you know, you'll end up with another kind of like break, just pushed back like 18 inches or something. I'm not sure if that would, how that would look. You know, it's kind of like half. It's either all the way back, which really doesn't work for us, or just straighten it all out and just give a clean storefront with a vertical break.
Well, couldn't you do that because you have your freezer set back 3 feet from the storefront?
Yeah, but then it's a function of just getting that nice, clean 3-foot line for the display, you know, for products. So then it just becomes like a nice display window for George to put, you know, product and things, and then it'll become like 18 inches in it. You got to get your...
It would, so what, if you kept the door there, you basically wouldn't lose any usable space, you'd lose display area.
Right.
Right. But then it's just a dead alcove that doesn't do anything. And then.
But it does call out the original distinguishing setup of this streetscape.
Yeah, but if we go to the new elevation, Michael, you know, the problem, you know, if we go to the new elevation, there's a recess that doesn't do anything other than just a recess and cast a shadow, and it doesn't, quite honestly, you know, there's the symmetry is really in the 5 parts on the awnings. You know, the storefronts and the Java fellow, the coffee place, his doors don't match our doors. You know, his doors are 2 and 2 on here. We're opposite. So the whole storefront alignment on the ground floor doesn't really have symmetry. The building itself has total symmetry, which is fine. And, you know, I'd also like to submit that, you know, having 2 recess, you know, people when they approach a store, they'll see the recess and they'll automatically go to that door thinking that it's the entrance door. And, you know, we've all lived where you go to a door and you have a Helvetica font with an arrow to, you know, use other door or around the corner. You know, so if you make it clear and readable to pedestrians and the public, they'll know where to go. Obviously, you have door to the left with obviously all the milk and cookies products and signage, and then you have the 908 fellow on the far right. Nobody's going to get confused as to where to go.
I can't imagine they'd be that confused with the signage over the new entryway, but,
And the signage is actually in here,
yeah.
you know.
So you're not gonna have anything calling out the door,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I mean, there's only one door.
Yeah. Well, but then
if
there's
we
a
do this.
recess, and then if there's a recess, then, I don't know, people still think something's
I think they could
off.
figure that part out. I'm just, I think that's an interesting point about the other side not being symmetrical, but if there haven't been changes to the layout of the doors since the new owners are aware of, I think, I don't know, I think call out makes sense, but I'd like to hear from the other commissioners.
Well,
Yeah.
can I'd like to, this is a question. I was down there today, and all of the windows on the right side are trimmed out in copper. Copper and they're trimmed out to the window that the door that you're suggesting to be eliminated is trimmed out, the window's trimmed out, and also to the left, to the western is trimmed out. It's just been painted. So you are suggesting, that all that copper trim would be eliminated?
Yeah, the new storefront, because I also saw all new aluminum storefront. I don't know if it was the 908 guy or one of the other tenants.
Can you
but-
speak into your microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
There
I'm
was
gonna
also a
pass
new
this down.
storefront, which was the aluminum clad, you know, mill finish aluminum storefront on some of the other tenant spaces that I saw. So I was assuming that we would do it as all new aluminum, white aluminum to match the white that's been painted, so that it all matches.
But what's been painted is copper to the left. I have pictures
Right.
here that I took today.
Yeah.
Maybe I suggested that it be marked as an exhibit. And then also the storefront to the left of the main entrance, that Java Love, that looks as though it's been painted copper as well.
Okay.
So what you're suggesting is removing the original copper trim, I guess.
Right, for the new storefront at the 13-foot dimension, if the board would prefer, we change the white to a copper color on both the new and the existing storefront to match the Java fellow. I don't think that's a hard thing to do.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, so
To-
if we want
to-
to have balance with the Java fellow, then we could certainly paint our storefront.
I'm sorry, I wanted to
Oh.
jump in before we went any further. Nick, do you have any questions?
Since we're talking about the storefront finish, I had a similar question to Commissioner Remnitz, just about, how is the joint going to look in this new piece when we put the parging in on the bottom? I had a similar question for the storefront framing itself.
Right.
So if the storefront to the left, at the entrance one into Milk and Cookies were to remain, is the new piece that's in the middle going to just look like a brand-new storefront? And then is there a plan for the other two to be somehow refinished or replaced so that the three just look continuous as if they were all installed at one point?
That might be.
Whether it's an aluminum or a powder-coated color or copper.
If the building owner representative would have all the storefronts match in a copper color.
I don't have that answer. I would have to talk to ownership. The Java had painted.
Storefront, just do a new storefront in a copper color.
Yeah, so the Foster Art, which is there. Sorry about that. Foster Art, which is right next door to
There's three there.
Culture Couture. Their actual, the window frame around their window, because a FedEx truck hit the building at one point, there is material to make it look like the copper. So if that's what, the board would want to do on the other side, I'm sure, we can, match that.
So are we talking about a copper color or a copper material?
No, copper, metal, copper.
Okay, I
Did
want
you
to make
see
sure,
the pictures there?
I just want to make sure I understand it's not just the color, it's the material.
Correct. So most of the window frames have that copper that have been painted whenever it was painted back in the day. I only know that the windows that were replaced around Foster Art have to try and match what was done back in the day, a material similar to try and make it blended. I believe Java back was also painted, was that white, and then they took it upon themselves to paint it that orange color to try and blend it with the rest of the windows that had to be replaced.
More questions, Mr. Giuliano?
No, not right now.
Jason? And Steve?
No questions.
I have a question, and I think Ms. Talley asked the same thing. If the door, the recessed door to the right, was, and you kept the storefront the way it is now with the single copper pane, the storefront with the recess that you're proposing to remove, that copper's been stripped, and it's really quite beautiful. So the storefront to the left that's painted could be stripped. But my question is, you spoke that it would be an inconvenience, a hardship to allow that door to remain. But if you allowed that door to remain, wouldn't the interior workspace function the same?
No, because if we left the door, well, if we just leave the door as a fixed door,
Right,
and then there's a wall literally right behind it,
right,
and it's a dummy door,
yeah.
Or you could shift the freezer
well, the freezer
west.
would shift down about a foot or so to clear where the door is located. So you'd lose some production space, and the freezer would have to shift down to maintain the recess. I just submit that it's just a recess that does nothing, so then why is it even there? It just architecturally doesn't make any sense.
Well, no, I realize that, but it's
Yeah.
part of what you're suggesting to remove as part of the original facade.
But if we could create, if the building owner gives us the name of the supplier that has, I'm assuming it's some kind of an extruded aluminum in a custom shape that has a copper finish. I don't think it's a real copper frame in a new setting. I gotta think it's got.
Correct, yeah, it wasn't a new copper frame.
No, well, is it original to the building? Is the copper, is
The
copper trim,
The copper trim on the existing space that they're looking to build out, yes, that's original. The other window that had to be replaced, that's not a copper finish.
wait, excuse me, you're pointing to the left, is what? Just,
So, right here, Foster Art, the window had to be replaced at one point. When the window was replaced, it's not a copper finish, it's just a material.
no, I understand that, but we're talking about what you want to replace, to the right, that, right there. That's original to the building?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Would it be possible, because again, since the freezer is set back about 3 feet, if you shifted it to the east, you would eliminate the need for that hallway and the door to access the display area. Wouldn't it be possible to access it from the,
No, but these are all the
recess-
work. Yeah, maybe George should come up and
well,
talk
if I
about
could just finish
his.
what I'm saying, wouldn't you be able to access that through the recessed doorway?
No, but if you move it this way, but you have this production line for George, because this is, he doesn't have his racking and his work area because the freezer's here, the freezer door gets in the way, and then this is the hallway that goes to the doorway, correct?
No, you don't even need the hallway, because you could get access to the display area from the recessed front door. I assume you'd have to make some changes to
Oh,
it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I see what
You
you're
don't
saying.
really, you don't
Right.
need that hallway
You'd
along the
access-
side of of your freezer.
But we'd have to open it from the side over here to get into the display area.
Exactly, you'd have to have some kind of door there just to put in your display area, to access your display area.
Right,
It's just a thought.
okay. All right. Okay.
Yes, because we have to decide what the facade will look like. I mean,
Well,
that's why I asked how it will impact the business
I'm sorry.
to keep the original facade.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Did everyone get a chance to? Any questions from the public? No? All right, so why don't, we'll jump into discussion. John, Mr. Reinitz.
I was leaning towards supporting this until the discussion about the actual existing fabric was brought up. And as I look at the plan, I don't see any problem with creating that recess. There would be a design challenge to deal with a door that doesn't go anywhere, but I can imagine you could come up with something clever for that. So that's a comment. And then that's really it, because any other comments would be related to it if I did support it, so.
Okay. Mike?
I have similar thoughts to Mr. Reimnitz. It seems that the business function would not be interfered with if the changes were made as Ms. Talley suggested, and it still maintains the original layout and the original features and materials of the building.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not support changing the facade.
Thank you. Mr. Giuliana?
Similar to Commissioner Reimnitz, I was leaning towards approval for this as well. I actually think the arrangement of it in 3 pieces works pretty nicely compared to the building itself. For that one recess there, having 2 doors on both ends and then symmetrical left and right windows with the new window in the middle. But having seen the photos of the original copper finish now, I would say an approval would be with conditions that might be that maybe all of the metal for all 3 storefronts get replaced in that area to all be copper. I don't know, what's possible for 908 to do, given that they're not the tenant that's doing this project. But, I'd hate to see kind of this mix of different finishes over time. One storefront that was copper painted white, then a new one that is copper, and then another one that's something else to the right. So, yeah, my comments would be that if in a perfect world we could replace all of the metal for all 3 bays, I'd be in favor of eliminating the existing door recess, but with that condition.
Okay, Mr. Hyman?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at just this application and, dealing with the constraint that it's just a single tenant that we're dealing with, I agree with Mr. Reimnitz and Mr. Graham that it really doesn't look like this recess door impacts the functionality. There are options to either move that freezer up a foot, or as Ms. Talley suggested, utilizing the recess for some sort of exterior door, giving you additional floor space where that hallway would be. So I think from a functionality perspective, I don't think there's any hardship or impact on maintaining the recess. It's really just stylistic. And the only thing I want to add to that is that while it isn't symmetrical, there is a distinct pattern of having, and I think you call it out on sheet 8.3, that ABB pattern for door, window, door. And I think that's something worth preserving So, I mean, notwithstanding, additional conditions on the fixtures, I think it makes sense to maintain that recess, since it doesn't really seem to impact the operations and the floor plan. I mean, it's really just a stylistic change in terms of how big that display window needs to be.
Thank you. Mr. Sweeney?
I believe maintaining the door is a better way of preserving symmetry. However, I don't see that eliminating the door is such a change as to really substantially disrupt the appearance, provided you have a separation in that big picture window. So the big picture window with the divider will make it appear more symmetrical to the other side of the building. So the answer is, I don't oppose eliminating the door. I don't think it's, based on the size of the space that you said, you don't gain much by eliminating it. You may avoid the inconvenience of people walking into the wrong place, but I think that can be pretty much avoided. Nevertheless, as I said, I believe that within the overall concept, eliminating that door is tolerable within the code, but you still have to do things to maintain the symmetry by putting a divider in the big picture window.
And Steve?
Since you showed us this picture, and the original seems to be copper, and I believe that runs across to the painted section too, so you want to keep as much fabric as possible, so I would recommend removing the paint and try to restore the copper on the left side to match the right side. I don't think that there's a problem. I don't want to get rid of the door, even though it doesn't do anything. I would just make sure that we want to keep as much of the fabric as originally was there.
Okay, thank you. And, I mean, to maintain the original fabric that's already on the building is really, it's the look of the building, it maintains the character of the neighborhood. So I'm in favor of keeping the door as is, working with some, whatever you have to do to make the interior space work. I don't think people will be confused as to which door to use. I think it's important that the copper, which on the door that you're suggesting to eliminate, it looks like it has been stripped. It's in very good shape. And the copper on the left, as Mr. Sweeney and other people pointed out, could be stripped, and it would be a very attractive space. So before we vote on this, I just want to, being that our consultant is not here tonight, he did say that by modifying the storefront, the proposed new configuration disrupts the existing rhythm of the facade. As such, the applicant should consider no changes to the storefront and enclose the existing door, which is the east side, from the interior, and maintain the existing door. Okay, so with that, I think we need to have a vote. Somebody could make it.
Can the owner speak, or?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he'd like to say a few words.
But have you been sworn in? No. Okay.
And your name is?
George Spiro.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you provide to the commission tonight is the truth, all truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes. Okay, so I've been working for some time now with Ms. Talley over here to get the plans in order, and the first set of plans that I submitted was having the door, that storefront flush and that door gone, and the wall was really supposed to be much closer. And she opposed to that. She said, you got to work with me a little, give some space. And I really need every inch possible. All my other stores are 1,400 square feet with finished basements where I have the storage. I'm literally working with what I have. And these walls are extremely fortified. On the right side of the plans, you can see that there's nothing you can do there because that's a stairwell that goes into the building in the back right corner. And then I can't utilize that door if it stays to access that nook area because the door opens inwards. And if the door opens inwards, you're talking that the wall would have to go back at least another 3 feet to gain access into that storage space. Originally, I had an 11 by 6 and a half, 11 by 6.5 freezer, 11 by 6.5 by 11.65 freezer, and Ms. Talley told me that I need at least 36-inch walkway, which is why I downgraded the freezer to a 10 by 10. For my operations, my smallest freezer that I do have is a 12 by 12. So I'm literally working with absolute every inch within the parameters and making the storefront flush. And I would love to keep that copper finish around. I think it does look great. I think it does look really nice with the color combinations I'd be having going on with black and white. But the finish in the front, I do want to have that original copper trim. That was my intention the whole entire time. But it's the fact that every inch really does matter, that if I can have the ability to flush out the front, do a good job, make everything look symmetrical, have the same finishes, keep that copper finish that really looks, the aesthetic is really beautiful, that it's really paramount to my business operation, that I'm really doing whatever I can to fit and squeeze into this space as is. So even utilizing that door as is right now to have access to that front space, if that was a display area, that door is going to open inwards. And that's going to cut another 2-3 feet of the swing door in, pushing everything further back where I don't have that space to give. So that's my biggest problem.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can we go back to the plan for a second? You have the existing on the left and the new on the right,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And you show the recess, the existing recess on the left. It looks like it goes back almost exactly to the point where on the right you have your, so what do you leave, what do you lose
So as
if we have that recess, the door is fixed, no one can go into it, it doesn't open in, what do you lose?
well, I would need a big, like ideally, I would put a bigger freezer in.
No, the freezer doesn't move in what I see there. The freezer can stay right where it is. The outline of the plan, as I see it, the door sits almost in the same, am I incorrect? I'll ask the architect.
Right, yeah.
Isn't it pretty much the same?
The door would just be, so the freezer would move back, to here, it'd be a dummy, it'd just become a dummy door, like that. So the freezer moves back.
Maybe,
And I think the suggestion is, where you have this recess here, it could be a door or some sort of breakaway panel, so you can access those here. And then your freezer can go all the way out to here.
Right. Or shift the freezer over, or make a larger freezer, because now the access to the display would be from the outside. You have to go outside to change the display, I guess.
That doesn't
yeah,
sound
get you a
unreasonable to
bigger
me.
freezer. How's that? Get you a bigger freezer.
freezer situations
Yeah,
are,
there you
That's what
go, there you
you're-
go.
the freezer
I think-
situation is crazy right now. I've been waiting
I-
6 months for my custom one in Westwood.
I think the biggest change to this facade is the rhythm of the in and out facade, the walking experience. It's not great to have this kind of display window that occupies a whole retail space. It begins to really change the nature of the walkable experience. I realize you're building and you need more space, but if you could imagine, what if we just had one door and all of this was picture window? It would change the whole nature of the walking experience along Church
The only
Street.
thing I could say about that though is the walls going up to kind of close off. Just you don't want to be looking at a walk-in box. You know what I'm saying? Like the wall goes up to have a nice sign, to have the display.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying don't do it at all.
Right.
I'm commenting that it's
Yeah.
not the greatest thing in the world to start with. So I think what's important is at least keep the rhythm and the depth of the walking experience along Church Street. So it's not just I mean, you can make the argument the whole thing is flat. So I don't think you want to change that. So that's,
We talked about South Park is all flat, you know, it's the same building. Obviously, it was built that way. I don't know what the rationale for them to make a recess on one side and flat on another back in the 1920s. There
But
was
that
a
was the
logic.
side, the primary facade is the Church Street facade.
You know, with the 5-part, yeah, because the other one has the 3-part, one is not symmetrical with the other one,
Right.
you know. But I still don't know what the rationale was for, if you made them, you know, if you make all recess, you make a recess on the whole first floor. Unless for some reason those storefronts were changed and they're not the same age as these storefronts, I'm not sure.
Any other questions of the owner? The proprietor? No? Okay, so, thank you.
Thank you.
So now, I read our consultant's opinion. We've heard from the proprietor, from the architect, and would someone, we have to, yes?
I move that our consultant's opinion be supported by the rest of the commission in terms of our decision here.
Well, we have to vote, I think. because-
Yeah, well, I'm creating, I have
okay.
to, how to express
Besides,
it, to
besides
express
the
it.
condition on maintaining the recess, what was the other condition
Yeah.
about the trim?
Oh, you're right, the copper.
Maintain
The
copper.
Maintain the original copper
Was there
trim.
anything else about the materials or?
Well, the original copper trim,
Okay.
that, maintain that. I mean, it would have to be stripped to the, it's painted white now
Okay.
to the west, but this is this is original.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the application with the condition that the recessed door be preserved and the existing copper finishing be preserved and where painted, stripped and restored.
There's new storefront too, right? And you want the new storefront to match?
There's no,
There's nothing new?
nothing new.
Okay, thank you.
I second.
Okay, so we'll start with a vote. Say it again. Just say
So
it
the
again.
the motion was to approve the application for C of A with the condition that the original recessed doorway be preserved.
To the east.
To the
on
east. Consistent with
The
the
original.
Connolly, yeah, the Connolly
Oh.
comment from his report, and that the original copper finishing be preserved and where
Trim.
the
Trim.
original copper trim be preserved and where painted be stripped and restored.
Okay.
Can I get some clarification? What else were you gonna change in the application?
Excuse me,
What else?
in the front, were you gonna change besides the door and and adding the bigger picture window?
That was the extent of all the front changes. That was all it was, Mr. Sweeney. It was the new storefront. That was going to be 13 feet long and remove that recessed. That was the only change to the front.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how we can approve that application, because the application presupposes
You're right, you're right.
eliminating the door
We could just
and
say
having
we-
a bigger window. So
We don't approve them.
Then it would be a
We could
motion
move
to
that
deny.
we don't
Because
approve.
if we deny though, but Jen, is there part of a site plan? Because they have their interim.
There is no
Okay.
site plan.
So they
Um,
can proceed with the rest of the storefront modifications, but there's also the signage too, right?
They
That's
have to
not part
come
of
back for
this?
signage. Yeah, the
Okay.
reason that we had them move the freezer back is because our ordinance does not allow the windows to be obscured. They
Yeah,
have to be
right.
transparent. And if you move
Right.
it back, you can create a
Mhm.
display area, which is how we came to that design.
Okay.
So I think we're all in accordance, agree that it should remain, except maybe for
I'm not
Mr.
sure.
Sweeney, but we need to have
But if the
the,
doorway is eliminated, that would be a facade change, no?
Right.
We're keeping
a
the
facade
recess,
change,
but
yes.
they're eliminating the door, and there'd be a modification potentially for them to access that proposed display area.
Right, but they haven't proposed that.
Okay.
It's not the elimination of the door, it's the elimination of the entranceway. The door is gonna be closed off and all, whatever they do. But it's the elimination of that recessed area. So I don't think you can approve the application.
I agree.
I just don't.
Okay. So is it a
It's
motion
like
to
you're
deny
saying,
the
I'm
application?
approving
So it's a
it, but you
motion
can't
to
do
deny-
any things you want to do. No, I don't think that's,
All right, so is it a motion to,
All right, then I'll withdraw that motion. I'll make a motion to deny the application.
I second.
Do you want me to call the roll?
yes,
Okay. Chair Bennett,
I agree with the, to deny.
Vice Chair Heineman,
Yes.
Mr. Rooney,
Yes.
Oh, Rooney?
Mr. Reinitz.
Yes.
Mr. Graham,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
I'm going to say yes on that, I deny.
okay, and Mr. Giuliano.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
thank you. Thank you for
very
appearing.
much.
Good luck with the business. It'll look great. It'll look
be
great.
This is MKA.
You got your notes on that one?
Next on the agenda is a referral to the,
We're moving on, guys.
next on the agenda is a referral to the Board of Adjustment. It says C.
Kimberly, Kimberly Academy. Zoning board? It's planning board?
Oh. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So next on our agenda is a recommendation to the Board of Adjustment referral application 2865, 12 to 36 Lloyd Road, the Montclair Kimberly Academy. It's addition to the school and reconfiguration of the parking lot.
Chair, I have to recuse myself.
Okay.
Reason, Mike?
I have to recuse.
Oh, no, reason.
Oh, I think the reason.
Oh,
Reason is I have two children in the school, in the Montclair Kimberly school system.
okay. Well, you can, Ms.
Yes,
Bauer,
yes.
can he remain in the
Yeah,
room? Absolutely not.
in the audience, right?
No, she just said no.
I have to go outside.
We'll make it quick.
Go home and come back and
Yeah.
show you. Which one did I do next?
This is the MKA
Oh, the
edition.
MKA, oh, Christ.
Okay, this subject property is located within the Afterglow Lloyd Parkhurst Potential Historic District in the historic preservation element of the master plan. The area includes houses that were built by noted local architects. It also includes Parkhurst, what is that called? Parkhurst Avenue? Which is, isn't that the Yellow Brick Road? Yeah, the Yellow Brick
Place.
Road, Parkhurst Place. The application, now, it's interesting because this application is deemed incomplete, and the streetscape elevations of the proposed building are not included unless you,
They're
this,
included in there.
they're included in what we've
We
just,
have renderings, perspective renderings, but I don't think we have the streetscape, we don't actually have the streetscape elevation.
I think you have them, they were handed out to you tonight.
this.
Yes.
The streetscape, the perspectives there should give you what you need in terms of to understand the building from the street.
Okay, so Ms. Bauer, you mark this as,
A1.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
additional.
And what you have here is exactly what I've got on the screen, so. I think it's 12.
Oh, okay, great. So would you identify yourself and your relationship to the project, and then our attorney will swear you in?
Sure, I'm Robert Douglas. I'm an architect of Worth McTavish Architects in Philadelphia. We're the architects of record for the project.
Okay, thank you. And you have a PowerPoint for us?
Yes.
Could you begin?
Do you need me to,
Oh, sorry.
sorry, I
Swear or affirm that the testimony you provide tonight on the application will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. So the project, I'll just take you through the project really quickly. The building that you see here is the existing science building at the Montclair Kimberly Academy Upper School. And this building was built in this portion of the building was built in 1965 or 1966. The building was actually built in phases. between 1962 and 1968. The current science wing as it stands now is too small for the school. Not so much because of the school's increase in size, but because of the change in the expectation of science facilities among competitor schools. The floor-to-floor level of the facility is too low to actually accommodate contemporary exhaust requirements from fume hoods and stuff like that. So it's really just reached a point where it's become inadequate. The school studied a few different options, from starting over to trying to fit within the footprint of the building, to what you see before you, which is actually an addition of this to the existing building that creates a combination of sort of what we like to think is the sort of the best of being able to try to preserve as much as possible of the existing building, while providing the kind of facilities that the school needs to function.
Excuse me, when you said starting over, you meant renovating the entire school?
Just this wing of it. So the existing wing, is this?
Do you have the pointer?
Oh, is there a pointer? Oh, that's even better. So the existing wing is this curved piece here. And then the addition we're proposing is this, this portion that sticks out towards Lloyd Road. This is the academic center that was built in 2013, is that right? 2015, sorry. That across the front of the school. And then the gym, which you may know is this portion of the building at the very end. The other portion of the project, just to include it, is the addition of a loop road around the outside. The main point of this loop road is actually to get buses off of Lloyd Road where they queue and give them an opportunity. There's only 2 or 3 buses at a time, but to give them the opportunity to come around the back. So really, wouldn't think of that as a road so much as I would as a bus loop, right? To be able to get the buses out of the main circulation.
And there's some parking there as well?
There is
The buses?
parking, the parking here exists. So we're actually not adding any parking as part of this. We're just adding this loop road, and then my arrows here are indicating the direction the buses would go and roughly the location that they'd be queuing around the back of the school. This section gives a sense of what we're talking about in terms of the inadequate floor-to-floor height. So this is the floor-to-floor heights of the existing building. I mean, you can see just how tight it is. The floor-to-ceiling in some of these cases is actually below 8 feet, and if we were to stick additional ductwork into this in order to provide ventilation air, we would not be able to add and insert ventilation air into the existing building and still meet the ceiling heights for the code. So we've actually had to spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to get air circulation vertically rather than horizontally around the building. And what we're suggested, this building on the right, is the addition, and we're essentially stepping down to the addition to the lowest level and up to the addition for the highest level. So it's still the same number of floors, but we've stretched it in both directions with the idea of trying to minimize the visual impact of it from the street, not going up any more than absolutely necessary by bringing the lower level down. The other thing that allowed us to do actually is to tie into the academic center that's right here. And so for the first time, the school will actually have an accessible route from the entry all the way through this building and to the gym. So that allows us to sort of bypass the large number of sort of half-level stairs that exist in the other wings of the building. This is just a short, just a quick plan, just to sort of take you through it. The academic center is here. This is the humanities wing of the school, and then this is the existing science wing. And this is the addition coming out, creating a little courtyard in the inner part of the school. And it shows the way in which the new building engages the academic center and ties into the historic wing. On the upper level, you see sort of the same thing. We've got classrooms that straddle the rather science labs that straddle the edge, classrooms in yellow on either side, and then faculty offices and meeting spaces along the back of the building. I skipped the third floor, but I think you guys get the point at this point. I can go back if you need me to, but so this is pretty much how the massing of the building looks. As I said, we pushed it down in the lower level to give us as much clearance as possible to minimize the amount that we're stepping up against the existing building. Mechanical equipment is screened by the mass of this new volume. We're actually excavating a little bit in the front of this building to try to give it some more outdoor active space, and so we're providing a raised planter at that area to work with the edge of the building. The front of the building steps down a little bit and provides roof access to the green roof that's on the existing academic building. And I pointed out that the existing historic building has wide eaves. If you know the building well, we did a number of sun studies as part of the environmental efficiency initiatives for this building, and we determined that a much more effective way to bring to shade and bring daylight deeper into the building was actually to do a combination sunshade light shelf. So that's actually shading the bottom half of each window individually and then providing a shelf where the light actually bounces off the top of the shelf and much deeper into the building to provide natural daylight at the far side of the science labs. And then in terms of materiality, which I'm guessing is where you guys actually start to engage this project a little bit more based on the last conversation. We've provided stone veneer around the base of the building and around the inside. What we'd really like to do, actually some amount of stone veneer on the existing building is being covered over. We'd actually really like to try to salvage that and reuse it to try to pull as much of the historic character of that stone into the building. It tells a good story both about reuse and sustainability and also about our respect for the site and the building on the site. The rest of the building is clad in fiber cement panels, which are the same cement panels that are on the academic center and the arts wing further down Lloyd Road. So it's very much the same palette. And then we've got our aluminum windows. Those are vertical strip windows with spandrel panels. We're really trying to pull the sort of rhythm and the aesthetic intent of the original building out into this addition. So we're looking at aluminum windows and spandrel panels that match that general intent of the original building. Glass, of course. This is just an image of the spandrel panels, the fiber cement panels that exist on the academic center. If you're not familiar with them, it's just a gray panel. It's actually a 4x8 sheet that's cut in, that's detailed in half, so it's actually 8 feet long and 2 feet wide visually. We're looking at a slightly shorter repetition because I find the character of that very long panel to be a little strange, and also the spacing on our building is more in keeping with the historic building, which is a more regular window interval of you typically a little bit less than 8 feet. And this was just a slide to give you sort of a better sense of what we mean in terms of that color palette. So the aluminum storefront, the fiber cement panel, one of the possible options for the spandrel panel, and then a picture of the existing stone that we have that we're trying to pull in. So we have just a couple renderings to give you a little bit more of a sense of what that actually starts to look like as it comes together. So this is actually as if you're standing at the top of the hill on the street, on the Lloyd Road side, but at the top of the hill looking towards the building. Gives you a sense of how that massing is. Mechanical screen proceeds across the top of it, and you would, if the mechanical equipment was taller, you'd be able to see it up there, but it's actually screened by the building and the location of the equipment. And then the possibility of some kind of outdoor gathering space here on this side of the building. This is the courtyard side, just for reference. This isn't visible from the street at all, but just to give you a sense of what that's like. This is a view from in front of the Academic Center as you're driving south on Lloyd Road up from Bloomfield. And you can see the building sort of just peeking out over the top of the Academic Center. What we found studying street view locations as we come up is that for the most part, it's not tall enough to be visible above the Academic Center. It's really only as you start to get to the corner that it starts to be visible. So if you're driving, if you're moving at car speed, my expectation is that you'd actually have very little experience of this building going in this direction because it would be in your peripheral vision by the time you can see it. Coming down, obviously, is not the case because there you're getting that full south-facing facade looking towards it. This shows the new entrance of the road that would be coming around. There's an existing pedestrian crosswalk that we'd be actually straightening in order to get across the road a little bit safer. That gets the buses off the road before the crosswalk, which is a good security benefit. And then coming up essentially in the location that the path is currently as it comes up the hill towards the courtyard. So that's roughly what we would expect the building to look like from the street. I think the last couple slides I have are just a repeat of the site with no diagrams on it in case we needed to look at that. And this is a view from just off the edge of the site looking down towards Lloyd Road. So this is the science wing, sort of absurd, but with the amount of trees that we're planting in and which exist now, the expectation from the studies, and these trees are located approximately where they are based on our survey. The expectation is that the view from off the site is extremely minimal of what you'd actually be able to see. Mostly just curtain wall, which isn't really any different from what's there now. So.
Do you have any pictures of the existing wing?
So that's the existing wing.
That's the existing, and that's the facade with the...
That's the facade. So our addition is from roughly here to here on that.
Okay, thank you very much. Does that conclude your
That is it,
testimony?
yep.
Is anyone else going to speak for this, or?
Unless you need the school to talk about the need of the project or anything like that, I don't think so.
No, we'll open it up to questions from the commission. Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, I wanted to make sure that I understand. What is the facade of the new proposed addition going to look like? Is it going to look like that, which has the stone look, or is it going to have the somewhat plain look like?
It's the plain look like that.
Like that?
Yeah, we studied stone. It's obviously it's a totally different category in terms of budget. Right? So
What is that stone? It looks to me like cement.
So it's fiber cement panel. It's a panel that's about this thick. It operates as a rain screen panel, so it keeps the rain out, and then you have a space, and then insulation, vapor barrier. But from the exterior, it essentially looks like a relatively monolithic, one color, kind of a very simple facade.
So did you consider a facade that looked like the building that it's next to, or that it's extending from?
Yes. I don't think the school's budget can afford a stone building.
It's a cost issue.
It's a cost issue. And then the fiber cement that we have is an extension of the buildings that are already existing at the front of the campus. So it's maintaining a consistent aesthetic with with the other building that it attaches to. Because we're coming off of the old science wing, but we're attaching into the new academic center.
Thank you. That was
But
my question.
On this close-up view, that you will have that stone trim on the bottom.
Yeah, that's right.
So you'll be tying in the old and the new.
That's the idea. Yeah, that's about as much as we could. I think we could afford. I'd love to bring it up a little higher, but we'll see. The other thing is that we did studies of what we thought we could realistically salvage from the existing building.
Right.
Because I really want to do that. I think that's a good story. And so part of what sets the height of that water table is how much stone we actually have to work with. We have identified a couple of options for a matching stone that's pretty close. You know, matching historic stone is always a challenge. But, so I'd love it if we didn't have to, but.
Mr. Rooney?
You know, it's a very difficult program you're having to deal with different layers, different elevations. What's the total height of the addition?
The average height of the addition is, what, 34 and a half, basically. It's just under the code requirement.
Just under the limit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that because you're using the alternative materials here, it differentiates it enough from the existing building to say, well, this is an addition, this was built at this certain time.
A question?
No question.
Okay.
No question.
Mr.
Ed.
Hyman?
No questions. To himself.
It's a question to myself.
Mr. Hyman?
No questions.
And Mr. Giuliani?
I do have one question.
Oh, okay.
No, it's too late. You're done.
You said rain screen. So is that representative of rain screen?
Yeah, so there's two ways to install fiber cement. One is grouted, which is essentially what this is, so that the seams all go away. The other way to install it is without those seams sealed. The school's comfortable with the sealed version. That's what they have on the other building, so that's what I would expect. It would look exactly like this.
So the existing material is the fiber cement?
Yeah, the existing material on the academic center, the one that was built in 2015.
Right, okay.
And the arts wing, which is, yeah. But if you were to drive up Lloyd Road, most of what you would see is fiber cement.
Any others?
No, I just, you know, I'm just trying to understand the concept of the rain screen. Usually it's there to equalize the pressure inside and out, but if you've grouted it all in, I'm not sure what the
Yeah, I shouldn't really have
advantage
referred to
is.
this as a rain screen installation. This is actually not really a rain screen installation.
Okay.
It looks a lot like the rain screen detailing that you'd see, but it's not really technically a rain screen.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Giuliani?
I have a couple questions. I'd like to just commend your presentation. I think it's really beautiful and very clear.
You should be looking that way.
Yeah. Axonometric views really bridge plans and elevations nicely. It makes it very, very clear.
Thank you.
I just have a question on the window frame material. I see that there's black proposed for the addition, but it looks like those photos of the newer wings are aluminum finish, and the original building is aluminum as well. How did you guys decide to do black for this addition?
So we find the black to be a little bit more recessive. It distinguishes the building a little bit. I think generally I have never liked the clear finished aluminum that with the fiber cement. I think it's a little bit too flat. And because this is a science building, we're looking to express a little bit more sort of forward-thinking design thought. And that kind of pushed us into, we're going to use black on the interior, and so it pulled to the exterior.
Okay. And then for the roof of the addition piece, I know, you know, for sustainable, you know, and just general sun shading purposes, the eave overhang for the main building is not necessary due to the individual window screens, but was there any thought to just have some kind of expressed eave to better match the original building and the newer academic center?
Yeah, we studied it. It made it really heavy.
Okay.
And we were trying not to imply largeness and heaviness with this addition. We're trying to keep it sort of light and unobtrusive.
Okay. Those are my only questions.
I have a question about the driveway, which you say is going to be used for buses. That encircles the entire building and then comes out onto Lloyd Road, so no buses will be on Parkhurst.
No buses on Parkhurst. No, as far as I know, or what I've been told, I'm not a bus driver, obviously, but what I've been told is that bus drivers wouldn't want to drive up Parkhurst anyway.
I wondered. Well, that was my main point. And so there's no driveway or any access to go out onto Parkhurst?
No,
Parkhurst.
not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, we've looked at that, I've looked at that a couple times, because from I don't love this condition here, which exists right now, and actually gets a lot of traffic. What this will help do, I think, actually is reduce that, the pressure on this intersection of Lloyd and Bloomfield a little bit, because the cars will queue farther up towards this entry because the buses won't be bothering them. That'll make a big difference in terms of the way this works. But I had looked at going out onto Parkhurst, and the engineers, the school, other people in my office all told me I was making a mistake.
That's a good thing. All right, are there any other questions? No? We'll open up for,
I have just an overall question. Some of the buildings you show in the front as of a historic, some stone design, whereas this doesn't have that same kind of design. But tell me how is overall the historic concept of the area preserved with this design? Or alternatively, is this done because it's a STEM center and you're trying to create a sense of modern science?
So it's a little bit of both. The historic zone, the historic zone that we're a part of, or the proposed potential historic district that we're a part of, is much more Victorian. I think houses are typically from the right around the turn of the century, the last century. This building is from the 60s. Eppel and Seaman, the architects, are not particularly well-known architects. They did a bunch of schools in New Jersey, but really not beyond that. And so we looked at their work a little bit, and the historic, the modern character of their work, which you see in that stone building. The existing building is a very 1960s modern building, with it's actually the series of vertical strips. So we tried to pull that massing idea out into the new building with the vertical strips of windows, but to bring the materiality of the academic center to try to marry them together a little bit. And we're just trying to be contextual sort of with both eras that the building was significantly altered in. I like the vertical strips because I think it does kind of imply a modern, like a modernity. It implies some of the optimism of the 1960s modernity that we know now with some hindsight is a little bit not necessarily accurate, correct, but I see some of that in the way that we're able to bring the strip windows in. But the materiality of it from a straightforward perspective, I don't think it's necessarily all that central to the way that the original architects approached that building. I think the stone there was about durability and sort of melting into the site in a particular way. The swoopy design of this thing, I think, is clearly about looking at the topography more than anything else.
Thank you. Steve, do you have a comment?
Comments, yes. I think the addition, like I said earlier, it's a very complicated thing you're doing, but I think that the addition is handsome and blends in with the existing building. Does not blend in with the neighborhood, but neither the whole place doesn't.
It would have been disconcerting to try to put a Victorian house on that site.
Yeah.
So.
Otherwise, I think it's okay. It's fine.
Mr. Hyman?
I don't have any comments other than say that I think this proposed addition is very well done. I support it.
And Mr. Reimnitz?
I also think it's well done. I do have some comments, but I like the fact that, I don't think from the street this addition impacts the neighborhood or how you feel about this site. So I don't think it has any big impact to the neighborhood. I like your comment about the strip windows referencing one piece of the architecture and the material referencing the other. I think that's brilliant. What I don't think is so well resolved is the actual connection where the old cement finished building and the new one come together somehow. I don't think that's resolved very well, but other than that, I think it's very well done.
Mr. Giuliani?
I think it's a very nice addition to the building. I think there's a lot of attempts made successfully to marry it to the original 1960s building, you know, which we know are not always easy buildings to design new additions for. You know, they're modern, but they're, you know, the storefronts aren't great on them. The spandrel panels aren't always great. So I think what you've done with the addition is as sensitive to it as it could be. I think when I first started reading through the presentation and seeing the gray fiber cement panels, I thought, well, why isn't something maybe beige proposed or tan to more match with the stone palette of the existing building? But I see that the academic center has this color already, and it, you know, would probably be a disservice to have a third color, you know, on the same material.
That was because I had exactly that thought. So I kept trying beiges, and they just don't work.
Yeah.
When you get up to the academic center, they look weird.
Yeah, agreed. So I think that, you know, what's done is a good solution for it. I'm overall, you know, very supportive of it.
And I agree with my colleagues. I think it's very well done. I generally don't agree. I think the go-to solution for windows in this day and age is black, so I'm really not, but I think it works within this campus. And you know, it'll read as a 2020s building because of the black windows, but as you pointed out, the windows on the other, you know, in the older parts of the building are 1960s aluminum. So I think it will read as a very well done, well considered addition to the campus. So I think we are all in agreement as to the presentation and looking forward to seeing it go to the zoning board.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Are there any recommendations? I don't think we have
I don't
any.
think we have
Yeah.
any recommendations.
Yeah.
No. It's as presented. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you guys have another one you're supposed to do?
Pardon?
Do you guys have another review?
Now, two more. Do you want to stay?
I used to stay because I actually really enjoy watching them. But,
Oh.
I haven't been able to back home.
Are you going to use these for the zoning board, or did
Yeah,
they
do you want
already
these
have-
back?
I'm going to step out.
Sure, we can take it back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Save, yeah.
Leave one for our file, but,
Very well done.
okay.
Yes.
Can't get rid of me,
We
Daddy.
had a good.
I'd like to keep mine if you don't mind. It's beautiful.
Yes, in my car anyway.
Oh, here we go.
Lorraine.
225 over.
A little. No. Oh, this is kindling.
Anyone want to meet?
No, I'll take it.
Okay. Want a drink? That's not feeling fresh.
I would love a mint as well.
Yeah, I'm still dealing with
Thank
that, so I could just, it's just one page? Oh, no. Yeah, unfortunately.
Maybe that's a wireless mouse, maybe I can do it. Can I have that at the table?
Kush Connection. This isn't a THC mint, is it?
Yes, it's the Upper Montclair.
Upper Montclair, it's a real district.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, are we all set? We're all together? Hello. So next on our agenda is the Planning Board referral, application 2868, 225 Lorraine Avenue. This is second-story addition parking lot and parking lot changes. This is for the building, as I said, at 225 Lorraine Avenue, which is in the Upper Montclair Historic District, which was designated in 2006. This is a thriving commercial corridor, served the township as a central commercial and business district for over 100 years. Historic properties in this district date from the 1880s to the 1930s. The majority of the 93 historic structures are commercial properties that are 1 to 2 stories in height, with retail uses on the first floor and commercial or residential uses above. Most of the buildings are designed in eclectic architectural styles such as Colonial Revival, Queen Anne, and Neoclassic. A notable building type among these 93 structures is the 2-story Tudor Revival style commercial building like those found on Valley Road and Bellevue Avenue, which is really the Tudor Revival. This is a building, as I said before, which is in the Upper Montclair Historic District. The construction, as noted on the district papers, was of the current building that you're going to address is from 1930, and it is on Lorraine Avenue, faces south towards the street. I won't read the description of the building because it looks as though we all know it as the Mullen-Kronberg cleaners, right? So, but the applicant does propose addition of a second floor and rooftop level to the existing building, and additional proposed work includes adding exterior lighting and changes to the parking lot and the parking spaces, which are on the east side of the building. So with that, would you please introduce yourself, and we will, your relationship to the project, and our attorney will swear you in.
Yes, I'm Ryan Robertson, the project architect. I'm here with the applicant as well.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Rodio. We reside at 198 Charles Street in Clifton, New Jersey, and I own and I operate this business since 1991. I am the fourth operator of this business since it's been 1911. It's been a good business for us, thank you. And we try to keep it that way. We survived the COVID-19, thank God. And we are trying to do more in our tailoring department, and also on our wedding gown cleaning, preservation, and also restoration of it. So we are looking to extend that side of the business, which there is room for it more than the others. So as you see, business needs to be, we need to go ahead with business these days in order to get ahead. And with that said, I would like to give him the opportunity to see what I need for for the business to go on.
And thank goodness people are still getting married, so there's a need for space for wedding gowns.
Thank God.
Thank you.
We'll square both of you.
Sure, sure.
Said a lot, but,
Both at the same time, okay.
Or affirm that the testimony provided on the application that you mentioned tonight will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll go into the presentation. As stated, this is 225 Lorraine Avenue in Montclair, block 1809, lot 2. It's located in an approximately 66-foot by 59-foot trapezoidal-shaped lot, 0.09 acres or 4,095 square feet. It's located on the north side of Lorraine Avenue. I have a typo there. It says Valley, but it's Lorraine, between Valley Road and Norwood Avenue. It's 70 feet from Valley Road. The lot is improved with a 1-story brick and stucco building and a paved parking area. And the existing parking partially extends into the right-of-way right around here, if you've ever been there. You've seen the striping. And next sheet is a street view, taken from Google Street View. showing the existing materials. It's existing brick and stucco parging with a wood shingle parapet. And to the right is a dentist in a residential structure. To the left is a restaurant, stucco building, Veggie Heaven. Here's some other photos that relating to kind of the addition, so just wanted to quickly show these. Here you see the stucco finish in the alley, which is to the west side of the property. Here we're looking to the south, and here's Veggie Heaven to the right. And then here's another view, which you'll see when we talk about the site plan, showing what the rear of the property looks like with this tree that we're proposing to remove for reasons of egress. Next page. Sorry. The surrounding area, to the west, we have a to Z auto service and tire shop and Veggie Heaven that I already spoke about in Williams-Sonoma across Valley Road. And to the south is Saunders Hardware, which is actually the previous location of Moline Kronberg. The sign says since 1911 they've been in business, and they were previously down here, but they've been here. I can't remember how long did you say they've been here? This location.
In 1936, 38, I'm not quite sure, but it's...
And so to the proposal, as Marcello said, they want to do more tailoring, wedding gown alterations, restorations, preservation, and in order to do that, they want to move up a floor and do some site improvements as well. Here we're just looking at the site plan. I'm going to just highlight a few things. There's going to be a second-story addition with a one dwelling unit and some additional office space related to the dry cleaning business and the tailoring specifically. We're proposing a new green roof, and here I'm just going to highlight a couple things. One electrical vehicle charging station here, reconfiguring the parking area and restriping for 6 tandem spaces. You can see the dashed lines here. I should be using this instead. See the dashed lines here of what we're demolishing for the striping. It was not up to standards, and it extended into the sidewalk. We're also proposing a new garbage and trash enclosure right here. The planning memo says that it should have a roof. We can redesign the trash enclosure if need be, but it does have we're proposing a second floor extension, so it is covered by that with not much room above the trash enclosure. So it is kind of has a roof, but we can talk about that. Next page. This is another version of the site plan showing some circulation and some landscaping. We're proposing new planting areas along the east side of the property right here. Some existing plantings right here, a couple trees to be demolished to accommodate a pedestrian path from the adjoiners buildings here, since we're proposing an addition right here which would seal off their alley access. We want to give them a route in case of an emergency to get back. So we would remove this tree, level the grading here, and have some edging and a pea gravel path. We also have pea gravel proposed right here for snow storage, 30 inches of that behind the new curbing. And we're proposing painted curbing out at the street for, let's see, one is for painted blue for handicap parking, and one is for loading and unloading. And per the planning report, the Department of Community Services and Police Department's Traffic Bureau must evaluate the proposal to provide loading and handicap parking on Lorraine. So the applicant and his attorney will work with the appropriate governing body to seek this approval for signage and parking here. Next page. Here's the first floor. The addition proposed on the first floor is right here. This is the stair that would go to the second floor and then continue up to the roof deck. And you can see this is kind of the public area, a little bit reconfigured from what's existing with this new millwork. But you can see this is a very busy area, a lot of people working all the time throughout the whole day. And there's really not a good spot for an office for Marcello or his associates. And there's really not a good spot for tailoring that's private. Sometimes right here they'll do measurements, but it doesn't feel very private. So we're proposing the second floor to help with that, a reconfigured customer service and waiting area, and a new storefront system here. The existing first floor is 1,690 square feet, and then this is 128 square foot addition. Next page on the second floor. So here you see the stairwell comes up and then and wraps around, continues to the roof. You can either enter a private office here for the tailor or for the dry cleaner with a private bathroom, or you can go to the tailoring service at the front of the building, which will have which will have a dressing area right here and a work area, and then a gathering area for tailoring and alterations. Then also proposes a new 1-bedroom, 1-bath right here with a den located in the back. That dwelling unit is 1,043 square feet, and the entire second floor is 2,024 square feet. So you can see here's the dimension line of where the first floor is, and this is the extension from right here that covers over that trash and recycling center. Next, on the roof plan. So we're proposing a new green roof, new mechanical systems here, screened behind the parapet right here, and a new screening system here to separate from the public areas. There'll be new rooftop plantings. Those plantings are to be determined. And we're proposing 3 potted trees. Those species are also to be determined. Here we would extend the chimney that exists, create a little seating area around it. Currently on the roof there's a large ventilation system that we would change to louvers integrated into the storefront. So for proposed elevations, we propose new brick and stucco finishes. The brick would match the existing, so there's existing brick right here if you remember the street view. We would continue that up with matching brick, and then this new addition over here would be matching brick. We would get rid of the kind of ugly scored parging and replace it with stucco, and we're proposing a kind of a light beigey sandy color for that. And then for other accent items, we do a darker brown for this canopy and the louver system. Here's a relocated sign with new lighting, and there's 2 existing projecting signs. We're proposing to keep one of them and put it right there. So here would be the entrance into the dry cleaner, here would be the entrance into the stairwell. And here's just a rendered view of that, kind of looking from the side. Next is the east elevation, looking at this from the parking lot. So again, here's the parapet that I was talking about to hide the mechanical equipment. Up top, I guess I didn't mention this on the other rendering, but we're proposing on the roof to have a glass parapet with plantings behind for some interest. And here you see stucco here instead of the rough parging that exists. It would be a smoother stucco with seams. Here's the recess of the first floor with the trash and recycling center that would be covered by a brown kind of brake metal enclosure to match the canopy in the front. And again, this is a new sign, reduced in size from what exists now, and similar lighting. So now on the other 2 elevations don't have much going on with them, and we can't do much because we can't put new windows up on the second floor because of how close we are to the property line. So these existing windows remain. They have security grills on them already, and I put this diagram here to show kind of what you'll see on the next elevation. This is that egress. Because we're adding this stairwell, which you see beyond, it blocks off anyone that would exit out of these buildings. They could leave to Lorraine, but now we're going to be blocking that off. So we wanted to make sure that they can have a way to get out. So you'll see on the next slide how we're achieving that. And again, this side is all just stucco. This is kind of cut through Veggie Heaven, and this is cut through the other property. So this is the green that you see right there. and this is the red, you can see right there. As you were to exit right here, sorry my hand is shaking, but the first red dot would get you right here where you have enough headroom to go under the stair and go around the rear of the property. And for site improvements, these are the images of the new wall-mounted signage lighting we're proposing, right here above each of the sign, 3 above each sign. Here's the sconce we're proposing on the brick on the first floor. Here's the design of the trash and recycling enclosure. And here's shrubs that we're proposing. Let's see, 18 of these Ilex glabra shamrocks along the east side of the property, starting at the back of the property towards Lorraine, and then the last 5 plantings are the Rosa Carolina. Next page is a streetscape, existing and proposed. So here's Veggie Heaven, the existing Moline Kronberg, the existing parking area, and then the residential, which is a business. And here's the proposed. And here you can see the street view associated with that and the proposed rendering of what we've got there. And the last slide here is just a larger version of the 2 renderings. I think that wraps up the presentation. I'll take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Why don't we start with Mr. Giuliano? Questions?
I don't have any right now.
And Mr. Graham?
First, a clarification, is this a non-contributing building, or is it a contributing?
Oh,
I wasn't sure based on.
no,
the-
it'd be not, I think it's not.
It's a non-contributing, okay, just wanted to be sure. My question is, it's a very unique design for the Upper Montclair
I think it's, just to correct that, I think it's a harmonizing building.
harmonizing
I'm
building?
not quite sure what the difference, but when I read the,
Is it in your report? I
doesn't
didn't-
yeah,
Okay.
on page 5, it's classified as a harmonizing building. Sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted.
No, thanks, thank you, Janice.
Yeah, thank you.
It's, a unique design for the Upper Montclair Business District. Were there any buildings in the Upper Montclair Business District where you drew inspiration for this design, or where did it stem from?
It stemmed from the existing materials and the existing, and across the street is a brick building. So we like the brick that's there now, and the first thought was we should keep as much of that as we can. So when we started the design, we pulled that up at the corner, and then the design iterated and changed. We've been working on this a long time, since before the pandemic. It's changed several times. But when we came to the solution of the stairwell, we decided to match the brick there. And then we wanted to keep.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I
And then we
didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. It has existing parging right now, and we wanted to fix that up and have it look a little nicer, so we're proposing stucco for that. So it really was driven kind of by the existing materiality, changing it a little bit, but keeping some of it. I know it looks drastically
It
different.
looks drastically different, extremely modern, and you referenced the brick building across the street. It's more of a classic brick structure.
Right.
Okay. So you based the design off of the materials you said as they exist, but the very modern design, was there any inspiration drawn from within the Montclair Business District for the modern design?
Well, the storefront, I guess, the storefront itself, the storefront system is similar to, I think, is it, I forget the name of it, Mercado around the corner.
But well,
And then there's
The
another.
old Olympic?
Right.
The old Olympic shop.
Which we were involved in that project. And then there's a sushi restaurant too for the storefront. So there were some examples of some modern looking storefronts. I know the Connolly report says typically we should have a bulkhead underneath the traditional storefront.
yeah.
And we went more modern because there were some examples of that. But I think if the board felt strongly, I don't think it would hurt the design to add in more of the brick that we like anyway and have that under the storefront.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I mean, we weren't going to have the shingle, the high-pitched shingle parapet. So The rest of the design was kind of driven by the fact that we wanted a green roof. And so we've been experimenting with glass parapets and green roofs and some other projects, and thought we'd try that here as well.
Could that be accomplished without the glass parapet?
Could the green roof be accomplished? Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
you
could.
could have railing there. You could have, I don't think you would want to extend a parapet and hide it all. It would just look too tall.
And the Mercado design is still part of that. It kind of blends into that traditional brick building there, but I understand what you mean by the signage is more modern.
And the storefront goes all the way to the sidewalk, I believe, the storefront system, with no bulkhead. Same with the sushi.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Rondo?
Are you familiar with our Montclair design guidelines?
Yes.
And there's a whole section on new commercial construction. Okay. You're here before the Historic Preservation Commission, and I didn't hear much of anything about how this relates to the district in terms of massing, in terms of volumes, in terms of proportions. I didn't hear any of that. So I would like to hear, or how you are, it's very clear in our commercial design guidelines what we're looking for in a historic district, and I didn't hear any of that. So the question is just whether you were familiar with the guidelines. I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Hyman?
Yeah, I had a question about the circulation and that closing off the alleyway. And it looks like the property line goes all the way up to the neighboring property. Like, so that alleyway is your property. Are there any easements or encumbrances? Because if they have emergency access.
No.
Okay, so you're not
We're just
interfering with
being
that.
neighborly.
Okay. And in terms of, I was a bit confused by the layout of the two doorways. So you have the entrance to the first floor, and then you have an entrance to the stairwell proposed.
Right.
And then that stairwell, is that shared between the residential unit and then the offices on the second floor?
That's right.
Okay. And then the continuation of the stairwell up to the green roof, is that also shared between the commercial
The
and
tenant and the,
okay.
and the business, yes.
All right. I mean, what type of limitations are there on just random customers coming up and using the?
Well, a random customer couldn't get in this door without being assisted. If
Oh,
they're
okay,
going
so-
there for alterations, or they have
Gotcha.
a meeting, they can maybe get buzzed in or let in and accompanied by.
Okay.
And the dwelling unit will most likely be lived in by a family member. This is Marcella's son. He's going to take over the business, the family business. He will probably be living there.
Thank you. I have a question about the canopy. Is that a metal canopy with struts?
Yes, it's proposed metal.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rooney?
I was wondering about the canopy itself, why it doesn't go across the entire facade. It stops at the louvers.
That's right. That may have been a carryover. At one point, this area it was going to be the entrance and a display and show a wedding gown. And I remember we had a version where the canopy came and then rose up over the louvers. And then things changed and the entrance changed. And I think we just decided to stop it there. Maybe no good reason. It could certainly carry over.
It would carry it
block,
over.
It would block the projecting sign a little bit, but that could be lowered, I guess.
And also the louvers could be hidden a little bit from the street.
Sure.
That's my question.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, a couple questions. First, the building in Lot 3, that's a commercial building also? It looks like a house. But I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, it's a
And Lot
dentist,
3, that's a commercial
It's a
building?
dentist's office and a CPA office.
The CPA,
Yeah.
okay. Second, with the building height, when it gets done, how will that compare to the building of the to its left and to that residential-looking building where the
There it is.
CPA is sitting.
Right, so the height of the building was measured to the top of the deck here, not to the top of parapet, so it's, I think, slightly lower than this dentist CPA, and it's slightly lower than the chimney here, but higher than the roof of Veggie Heaven. I think the height was, it's on the drawings, I think it's 24.8 feet maybe. I'll find the height here. Yeah, 24.8 feet. I don't know the exact height to Veggie Heaven here, or the height of the roof there, but
And then finally, could you explain again, how did you get this design? I know you wanted to add a second story, which is perfectly permissible, but we normally would like when the second story looks like somewhat of the historic character of the building before. And so my question is, what was done to make it look of character similar to the building as it exists, if any?
right. So if you see here, if you were to remove this shingle parapet, which is not integral to anything, it's not a true roof, it's like a false parapet, and you remove that, what you're left with is a storefront with 2 brick piers. And so that's kind of what we have on the first floor. And then when we move up to a second floor, we weren't going to replicate this look. So we continued it up. And the dry cleaner needs to remain operational during construction, so that was a design constraint. So we have a large depth here of the structure because we're going to overframe. So the height of the head height of these windows started moving up, and that kind of dictated some of the design decisions that were made from there, because it's taller than it would need to be if you were going to rebuild this or shut down the dry cleaner during construction. And then it was just a continuation of stucco, mostly stucco material, which exists on 3 sides of the building. So this is the most interesting facade. The rest of them are very uninteresting.
What is the current facade of the building?
It's
I see
arched.
brick columns on the side. What is the facade?
Around the sides?
No, the facade right between the brick columns.
Yeah, this right here is wood shingle. This is glass storefront with the brick bulkhead below.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners? We'll open it up for comment then. Mr. Giuliano?
Yeah. I understand some of the constraints of the building and, particularly keeping it operational during construction, but I think what we're getting at with some of our questions is not what are you doing for the new design to keep it related to what's there currently for this building, but how does it relate to the neighborhood around it is, I think, the more important question. Right across the street, there's a really beautiful brick building, with a lot of inlaid tile detail within the brick. The building that Williams-Sonoma's in, catty-cornered from that building, is also a really great example, of just a brick facade, no other materials, but just done really well, with some lintel details where there's some depth in the brick coursing, and once you get to the second floor, windows that are a little bit more traditional, rectangular in proportion, simulated divided light. I think this facade is kind of just missing that opportunity to fit into the fabric of that neighborhood. And I think, there could be more rigor done in the front facade, maybe if it was just all brick with some particular detailing in it. I think the parapet doesn't have to be glass. I don't think it's necessarily critical to see the green roof from the street. I think it's more about using it if you're in the building. In a brick building, the parapet, a solid parapet's really a nice design statement. It's your cornice for the building. So those would be my major comments. I'm less concerned about any of some of the design flaws on the other 3 facades. The back, I understand you can't have windows, but it's the back. It's not uncommon for a storefront building like this where all the windows are on the front. But I think the front facade is really critical here to get right. So Those are my comments.
Thank you. Mr. Graham?
And I agree with that. I think it's too drastically different from the other buildings in the district, and I also think I agree with Mr. Conley's comment that it doesn't relate as well to the other buildings in the district. And I think, yeah, I agree with the comments that it's important to get this facade right.
John?
I don't have any problem with the use of the building, or you're adding a floor, or the size that this is turning into. I don't care whether it's even super contemporary and modern, but it's got to have some proportions and some details and some reference to the neighborhood. It doesn't have that. I don't see it. So that would be my comment.
And Mr. Hyman?
Yeah, I generally agree. I think there should be a simplification of that front facade, you know, like Mr. Giuliano said, maybe just incorporating just simple brick, eliminating the glass parapet and just having a simple brick parapet that's a bit smaller, and then maybe incorporating a railing on top for safety, maybe set back a little bit more. And that would probably mitigate the height visual, you know, with elimination of the glass.
Thank you. Mr. Rooney?
I don't have any problems with the new design. In fact, I'm very happy to get rid of that mansard roof, which I don't know how it could become harmonizing, because it was definitely intrusion. But I have no problems with its massing or your use and things. I think I sort of agree. Maybe we don't put in the glass parapet, but you could put in something that's, I'm sure there is something in Upper Montclair that has some sort of a fluted or parapet of some sort, railings. I'd like to see the, what was I talking before? The
canopy?
Canopy go all the way
Oh.
across.
Right.
Because I think that the louvers are a little bit too intrusive.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mr. Sweeney?
I agree with generally what everyone has said, but my concern is the ultimate character and appearance of the facade. I don't mind the height is fine, adding a story is necessary, all of that's appropriate, but it doesn't seem to fit in the character of either what was before or what's surrounding it. So I think you have to be more consistent with the area. So I kind of like the parapet, by the way.
Thank you.
But that's not official.
Thank you for your presentation. I agree with my colleagues. I think the use, I mean, buildings change, uses have to be updated. I understand that. I have no problem with the height. I think it fits well with the between the two structures on either side. But I do think the facade could use work to fit more within the historic district that a number of my colleagues have said, especially the that metal canopy. I mean, although I would like this building in perhaps a different location, I just don't think it fits within the character here. That's and I think that's what our people have echoed as well. And before, I do want to, though, I'd be remiss if I didn't say what our consultant said, which he agrees that the design doesn't fit within the Upper Montclair Historic District in articulation of its material type and fenestration in relationship to adjacent buildings, nor does it comply with the Township of Montclair's design guidelines, which Mr. Reimers had referenced. The other thing he said was that the design for a new or renovated non-contributing resource, which we've been corrected, it's harmonizing, can be contemporary in its articulation, but the design should be complementary to the contributing resources in the district. So I think that's something that these should go away with, and perhaps put that in the note to the planning department? Is that who gets this? Recommendation? Planning board, yeah. I'm sorry, not the planning department, the planning board. But, so, those are our recommendations.
We're only making recommendations here. We-
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Good night, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I'm moving along, I'm glad you came.
Well, you're sitting on the plan.
I'm on the planning board.
How did it go?
Obviously, bring it up.
It would seem to me that they would have to go back and see what the revised.
I'll tell you after.
I think I like it.
Get some,
With the sign?
I don't know, otherwise, yeah.
Coaches, but he's got little kids, and it's like herding cats.
If it's designated harmonizing, it would probably require a final facade for approval. I'm not sure. We should check
No,
into that.
because,
No?
because if you look at our chart, which I made sure I made a copy of, it's in a historic district, but it is,
This is a new building.
oh,
For all practical purposes,
This
it's
is a new
new.
building.
It has nothing to do, as far as I'm concerned, what's there. There's nothing salvaged from what's there. It's all new.
You want the mansard roof back?
What's that?
You want the mansard roof back? That was the entire design.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, we don't look at it whether it's harmonized, non-harmonized. It doesn't matter whether it's harmonized,
right.
non-harmonized. It's a new construction.
It's a new construction.
Get the blame for it. Do you want your?
so are you saying you should come?
I'm just
I'm
saying.
wondering, if should it? I mean, I'm gonna recommend it at the planning board meeting when it comes before us, but,
Otherwise, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
It's because oh.
otherwise
yeah,
they can
that's
just come and be ignored. I think, I'm very confident the planning board will agree to that condition. But,
Thank you. It can only do what we can do.
right, at the least it hasn't, yeah.
There's nothing in that for my
Can't we make a suggestion or
No.
minutes that we don't approve this as, with the facade as shown? We don't like it.
No, I'm fine with that.
Well, I think that's what we can ask.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I'm just trying to be more
Forceful.
Yeah, sort of.
Oh, are you remaining?
Yeah, I'm on the
Oh,
next
I'm
one too.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
You-
Thought I was taking my time.
He just
Yeah,
loves
I know.
being here.
We thought you were just resting.
The
Do I have
other
to swear in
architect
again?
wanted to stay too. Wow. Okay, so next on our agenda is another planning board referral, application 2869, 137 Valley Road, Kush Connection. It's to adapt the building to cannabis retail use and parking lot improvements. And this building is in the proposed district of Frog Hollow. It's the construction date, according to the township website, is 1885. There have been some alterations to the front of it to make it into a commercial space. But the Frog Hollow area originally developed between mid-19th century and early 20th century. The area consists of 2 to 3 story single-family houses built mostly in a vernacular Dutch revival style. The houses are situated on small lots and are set slightly back from the street-facing lot lines. Wood was the predominant historic building material. However, most houses in the area have been altered with synthetic siding, aluminum replacement windows, or other contemporary elements. Frog Hollow is home to a variety of immigrant population after these communities expanded from former mill workers' housing in the South End. Although the area exhibits low architectural integrity, further research on the social significance of Frog Hollow is recommended. That's the working group identified in our master plan. The project description, the applicant proposes to redevelop the vacant building, through repairing and maintaining the existing exterior finishes and elements, including the roof, windows, and cladding. Additional proposed work includes a new trash and recycling enclosure at the rear of the building, exterior lighting and signage at the front, and new paint colors, which most of the proposed work is focused on the interior of the building. So with that, we have our architect back again. Does he have to be sworn in for this new?
You're still sworn.
Okay.
So would you please walk us through this project, please?
Sure. Again, it's Ryan Robertson. I'm the architect for this project with Sionis Architecture. The applicant is Kush Connection. It's a conditional use for a cannabis retailer. Here's the site plan. 135 Valley Road, block 1509, lot 44. It's an approximately 30-foot by 125-foot rectangular shaped lot, 0.09 acres or 3,739 square feet. This is located on the east side of Valley Road between Walnut Street and William Street, and the lot is improved with a 2.5-story wood frame, an open metal shed back here, which I think the chair just mentioned takes up a large portion of the rear, and an unstriped asphalt parking area right there. Extends from north to south lot lines and up to the existing metal shed. And the building is connected to a vacant building to the south here via the second-story bridge, which is kind of interesting. It's a wood-framed breezeway, I should say, not a bridge. Next page is the street view. The existing building was a longtime home for the offices and storage facility of the Tassone Electric. And here you can see this is the adjacent building owned by the same building owner. The applicant is just it's a tenant fit out. They don't own the building. But the owner is doing improvements here. This presentation will be much shorter than the last one because all we're doing is, or all the landlord is doing is updating everything as is, fixing everything up, painting and repairing anything. Then there'll be some signage, you'll see in the elevations, signage and lighting. You can't see the bridge connector, but it's right there. And very narrow driveways on both of these sides. And I know Janice knows about that because there's some concerns about how you get to the parking and how that'll all work. Here's the view of the rear, and you can see the bridge there. So the property line is actually right here. This photo is being taken, someone's standing on the other property. And you could drive through if there wasn't so much stuff here. And on the other side. So the other side is the drive that you saw on the site plan, how you would get to the proposed parking area. And here is a drawing showing the surrounding context. You have Quick Check to the northwest, Tierney's Tavern to the west. Here's Valley Road, here's Walnut Street, here's Williams Street, and then Day turning into Talbot Street right there. And so here's our subject property. Here's the bridge to the adjoining building, just to orient yourself. And so here's the proposal of the site. It's a conditional use application for cannabis retail shop. It's interior renovation of the existing 2.5-story building and repaving and re-striping of this lot here. We're proposing one EV charging station. We're proposing to get rid of a Bilco door to get better backup room for the parking spaces. We're proposing one pole-mounted light here and one wall-mounted light here. There would be 4 new parking spaces. One would be barrier-free, and a trash enclosure, small trash enclosure right here, because there won't be much demand for garbage and recycling. And here are the basement and first floor. It's a 358 square foot basement, and this green area is proposed to be an employee use. Here's just kind of a utility room, and then these are either slab on grade or it's infilled, inaccessible. So this employee area has a stair leading up to the first floor. On the first floor, as you enter, it's a secured waiting area. leading to, once you get granted access, you're in the display area with the display cases, a barrier-free washroom, and then here's an ordering or a pickup area. There's kind of there's a level change that happens. It exists in the building right here. So as you come up, you go up a couple steps to this upper area for fulfillment and pick up your order, or you can go to the second floor, which is another retail area you'll see. So the green area is kind of employee area only. Next page. It shows the second floor and the attic. So as you come up the stair, a lot more display area, a spiral staircase up to the attic, a new spiral staircase, and then fulfillment again, but this is also the vault. So this would be a secured area where all the merchandise is kept and locked up at night, and employees only can get to this stair at the rear to get down to the first floor. And then another barrier-free washroom up there. If you go up the spiral staircase, you go to the existing attic, which would be, there's a conference room and a podcast studio up there. And proposed elevations. So again, there's an existing shingle roof, which will be, the existing shingle roof is to remain. There's wood shingle on the, up here, this color, and wood clapboard right here. And you can see some of the progress photos in the report. It's in the act of being updated by the landlord right now. The parts that needs the most work, which will be done as part of this project, is the stucco area and the board area. That all needs to be cleaned up and repaired. And this, right now it's a very lime green kind of storefront. That will be changed. We're just showing something in red. I believe that was a color the applicant was entertaining, but that's to be determined. And the landlord also is repairing the brick bulkhead. They said there's some issues there, so they're fixing that up right now. So we're showing a proposed signage and 3 gooseneck lights, which will comply with the ordinance. Otherwise, everything else you see here is existing materials to be repaired, repainted. There would be a gooseneck at the back, at the rear exit as well. And here is just kind of cutting through the section of that bridge connector. Here's the attic dormer. This is where the spiral staircase is located. And the next page, you'll see the other 2 sides. Here's the rear. This is where there's an existing Bilco door that'll be removed so that we can get better parking. There would be a EV charging port right here that's not shown, but here's the trash and recycling enclosure. Here's the new gooseneck light above the exit door. And this is the other side. This is the side of the driveway. So there's no windows on the first floor. Again, it's wood shingle on the second floor and clapboard here. The front is the only side that has stucco. And then other site improvements, besides the work being done by the landlord, here's our EV charging station. Here's a reference photo of a trash and recycling enclosure similar to what we would provide. Here's the gooseneck we've specified, and here's the wall-mounted and pole-mounted site lighting. I know, I don't know if this made it in the planner's report or if it was somewhere else I saw, but there was an issue. We were proposing it at 17 feet when 15 feet is allowed, so we may have to ask for a waiver because it's a deep parking lot, and this was the only way we could get the 0.5-foot candles unless we take another look at design. There are some other issues about plantings, but I don't know if that really applies to HPC, so I'll leave that. We're going to be meeting with DRC to talk about what changes we'll make to the parking area. But with that, that's it for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question. The exterior, is it in good shape?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
It's not in good shape. It's kind of in disrepair. I mean, this looks a lot better right now than I think it did. I think a lot of it kind of, if you were to zoom in or drive by, I don't know if I can zoom in here, but this is really kind of ratty. It needs to be fixed up.
Is it, so it's being restored to the,
To just how it looks, but better. Yeah.
how it looks,
Yeah.
okay? So those wooden timbers, are those being replaced or just repaired or
Just
restored?
Just restored and repaired. I don't think that there's plans to take them down and replicate them. I think repair them as needed.
And the house to the right is in better condition, isn't it? The smaller house?
I'm not sure. Yeah,
We're talking about the exterior.
the exterior, yeah.
Okay, and then the windows, that green, that lime green, is that, do those windows have to remain open, Janice? Is that considered commercial?
Yes, it is. They have to be open and transparent.
And transparent all the way?
You can't, and I don't know if you're proposing to black them out. Is that a requirement?
Oh, I see. We do show an opaque wall. You're saying it can't be an opaque wall beyond the security area?
Just,
No,
just at the, you
it's
can't.
a street.
You have to see through the glass. Now, you can have the security wall.
Janice, your microphone.
But.
Oh, yes, I'm
What's
sorry.
your security wall?
Yeah, let me show you. Here's the security room right here. So you see through the glass all the way to back to
Yeah,
here.
that's fine.
And right here is a glass display area. So this is all
So you've got
merchandise.
space where people can congregate before the city.
Yeah, they wait, they show their ID, they maybe don't
Yeah,
let
that's
everyone,
fine.
yeah, okay.
That's fine. As long as the windows will be open, you can see inside.
I see. I thought you were saying this had to be glass right here.
No.
Okay, gotcha.
No, no.
No, that was, okay. So we'll open up for questions. Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, I just want to verify. There's no exterior changes visible from Valley Road except paint and repairing the facade. No structural change of the facade, no change of windows or otherwise?
That's right. I believe the landlord has kind of called this a structural change. He's replacing the brick to match existing. But I'm not sure the exact reason why, but it won't look any different than it looks now. I think there's some mortar repairs.
It's just a replacement in kind.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the answer, there's
Right.
nothing visible from the street.
That's right.
Valley Road is being changed on the exterior, on the front of a facade or the sides of the building.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rooney?
I'm just very interested in the connector. What does it do?
I'm not sure what it does now, but it's going to be sealed off because of where it lands on the floor plan.
Sure, I
Is
mean,
the
they have to be pretty secure.
merchandise. Yeah, this is where all the merchandise will be kept, and that's the connector right here. So that has to be secured well.
So but that connector is on the adjoining property, right?
It's attached
Well, it
to
connects
both.
together.
It connects together, but the bridge is basically on the adjoining property.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
If you were standing in the bridge, you would not be in our
It's
property
very
line.
strange.
Yeah.
Very
That's
strange.
a
It is-
timeout zone.
And it's interesting, too, yeah.
Mr. Hyman?
No questions.
Mr. Reinitz?
I only have one question that has nothing to do probably with us. The existing second floor, is that a residential now, and you're changing it to commercial?
No,
So-
I think it was storage, I think. It hasn't been used or occupied for a long time, but I think it was storage of electrical
Okay.
equipment, but not in a retail use, so.
Okay,
it's
so
like
it's
offices.
not, okay. Thank you.
Mr. Graham?
No questions.
Mr. Giuliano?
No questions.
All right, we'll open it up for discussion. I just want to clear, are they going to come back for signage and lighting, or are we, they,
No, they're not in the historic district, so they don't have to come back for signage and lighting.
okay. So, open it up for discussion.
My comment is there's no exterior change that's worthy of input from Historic Preservation Commission, except to say that it's not something we object to. We like the idea it's being fixed up.
Thank you.
Steve?
I'm the same way. I'm just very happy that you're going to get rid of the green paint.
We don't know that.
We don't know that, that's true.
Better make it a condition.
It'll make people sick.
Yeah.
Mr. Hyman?
No comments other than I support the application.
Mr. Reinitz?
I also support the application.
Agreed, I support the application.
And Nick?
I support it as well. I think the parking in the rear is a big improvement over the condition of the yard that's there and all the junk strewn about in it. So I know that's not our purview, but I
Right.
think it cleans up the site quite a bit. So I'm in support.
Okay, so we're all in general
Yeah.
support of the application. Thank you for appearing.
Thank you.
Explaining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Give out samples.
Oh, good.
That's it.
Yeah, next time, hey, Mike, next time, we can move things around on the agenda so that.
I don't think we realized how
so you
fast it was
didn't-
going to
so you
go.
didn't-
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had to recuse himself on the long application.
Yeah.
That's right.
So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good night.
Now you're leaving, right?
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So the next thing on our agenda is discussion, and it was discussion as about the revisiting of the demo ordinance. So at the last meeting, a subcommittee was formed, which is Mr. Sweeney and Mr. Graham and myself. We have already met 3 times virtually for almost 6 hours. It's been quite a dig deep. But what was apparent as we're looking at this is that the certificate of appropriateness and the ordinance don't jive. So we have one more meeting scheduled for next week. We're hoping that we get a final draft that we will then, submit to Janice, to Janine, and also to Jason for your consideration, and also to the commission members as well. So the thought is that if we can get it to by the end of next week, we hopefully will be able to have some kind of draft form that we would be able to have a discussion at the December meeting, which of course is just going to put one more long. Are there any other things, any other topics for discussion? No? All right, great. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
And second? Don't all reach at the same time. Thank you very much. See you next month on December 14th.
Gotta make it quick, it's my wife's birthday.
Oh, you know where you're gonna be. You'll be in the doghouse.
I'll be in the doghouse.
Meeting's over, but I just want to let everybody know that December 14th is going to be my last meeting on the commission. I'm stepping down.
Why?
You're resigning?
Resigning.
I know you're very